Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe. I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking. Get your questions in. We're going to get to those here in a little bit. It's Monday, which means we have Marcus Myers joining us, and we are 19 days away from kickoff. So be sure to tell us who your favorite number 19 is. We'll come back. We'll revisit that like we always do. And guys, also the AP poll will drop today. So put it in the chat. Tell us where you predict that Texas will be ranked to start the season. That should come out here in a couple of hours. But really the big news, Texas has its first scrimmage this past weekend, guys. What are we hearing?
Well, I mean, look, Texas got after it. We had Sark in a press availability afterwards as well. Longhorns have a lot of pieces to the puzzle. We talked about this yesterday. Playmakers galore for the Longhorns at running back, whether it's Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, Derek Cooper, a young man, or the receiver ranks where Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman both showed out a little bit, as did Jermaine Bishop and Cohen Brown. A lot of thoughts about the scrimmage as a whole right now for the Longhorns. But Jerry, I think what we learned as much as anything right now from Texas and from this weekend, based on Sark's reaction, I think they may have a little bit of a running game this year. That's what Sark said. He liked some of that. And I think that they've got a really, really talented team overall up and down the roster. And there's going to be times when Colin Simmons makes plays. There's going to be time when Raleek Brown and Cam Coleman make plays. That's what happens when you have good football players. They oftentimes cancel each other out. The real story over the weekend, though, is just how decimated the Texas roster was because of a flu bug or off-field issue or whatever the case may be. Raheem Biles, Anthony Smith, Lance Jackson, a lot of guys did not practice.
Brad Spence.
Spence was a lot of folks missing from the practice on Saturday. Sark said flu bug hit the room, and there are guys that only played one series, because of that kind of stuff too. So, look, long story short, Longhorns probably the big takeaway. So many people out with the flu, but I think underneath it all, it's just how many different ways Texas can beat you, and I mean that on both sides of the ball. Texas has dudes right now, guys. They just have dudes.
Rod and I got into it last night, and Rod kind of asked, what was the biggest takeaway from what you heard about the scrimmage or what happened at the scrimmage? Mine was Jonah Williams. Look, it's been a long time since Jonah Williams has been engaged in football activities that were actually going to translate to the field for him senior year in high school prior to getting injured at a playoff game. It's been that long since he's been a healthy football player and had extended time healthy in football. So to see, everybody talks about the interception that was posted, but to hear about open field tackle on Raleek Brown, to hear about the things he did, because what we heard, that was an impressive play. That's against Raleek Brown in space in the open field, taking him down one-on-one, strong play by a safety. And look, I think the fact that Jonah Williams flashed some playmaking, I think is a really good sign for this team. Got to keep it up. Obviously, the test case for players such as Jonah is staying healthy over an extended period of time. But if he does that, he's just got that defensive playmaking ability, and he will get himself on the field, Bobby, if Jonah stays healthy, because what he does do is he makes plays, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, the guy makes plays. So that was my biggest takeaway was I was happy for Jonah because that other safety spot is still got to be ironed out. And it's a coverage position, and Jonah Williams made some plays.
Yeah, I think that, look, the first five for much of camp has been Bo Masco, Cade Phillips at corner, Grayson Littleton at nickel, Jelani McDonald, and Derek Williams at safety. That's just been the first 5. Anybody that breaks into that group, I mean, there's going to be somebody that breaks out, right? I think that, you look at the safety room and you mentioned Jonah Williams. I don't think Kobe Black is necessarily going quietly into that good night. So I think that he's going to have some say there too. But I still believe that Derek Williams is the starter there right now. So I feel like if you want to, put it to task, I mean, he's the one that goes out with the ones, right? And so until proven otherwise, whether Jonah makes an interception or not, he's going to have to do more and more of that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. If he consistently becomes a playmaker, which is what he is if he's healthy, if he consistently does that, he's going to take snaps from somebody. No question about it. He's very talented.
Has to be consistent. That's one thing that I think people underestimate with Will Muschamp and what he wants from his defensive players. Consistency really, really matters to him. You can't have mental errors on the back end. And I'm not saying Jonah's having those. But he certainly hasn't shown the same consistency as a guy like Derek Williams, who has played 600 snaps at Texas. So I feel like as we think about and look at that kind of stuff, we have to take into consideration just how much experience Derek Williams has. He's played a lot of football, even though he's been injured at times. He has played a lot of football through his 3 years at Texas. It's going to be harder to unseat him than Jonah, than a lot of fans realize, regardless of what Jerry's saying about his playmaking ability.
And the other thing,
hard to unseat him.
And the other thing is Derek Williams has to stay healthy too.
Yes.
So and be that coverage player. So it'll be interesting. But that was a big takeaway from me because I think Texas needs another playmaker to step up in that secondary. They're going to be tested a lot this year.
We're going to talk to Marcus Myers here in just a moment. But first, Bobby, I need you to tell us about Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, I'd like to thank our sponsor, John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are all UT grads as well. It was his passion for UT that led him to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management. John's firm is dedicated to designing wealth creation, risk mitigation, retirement income, and estate legacy planning strategies for UT alums, employees, and fans all across the nation. For more than 30 years, John's been providing his clients with investment, insurance, retirement, and estate planning services, along with enhanced specialized focus on minimizing taxes for them all along the way. This week's flu bug that kept so many players out of Saturday's scrimmage made John want to remind all OTF fans that August is National Wellness Month, and he encourages all of the OTF family to be aware that your financial wellness is actually a key driver to both your mental and physical wellness. Help enhance your financial literacy and improve your financial wellness. John wants to offer all OTF fans the opportunity to schedule a free private consultation via Zoom or phone or in person to allow John to show you how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your own free private consultation, just call Longhorn Wealth Team 972-707-4900 or schedule online www.longhornwealth.net.
All right. Well, let's bring him on in. Marcus Myers. Good morning to you, Marcus.
Good morning, gentlemen. How's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Good, Marcus. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm good, man. I got a workout in. Stevie and I have been doing some boxing classes at 5:30 in the morning. So I've been ticking here for a little while. So I'm raring to go.
All right.
Dude,
So
what
Marcus, what I'm going to do, I'm going to find out the team that beat Evangel when Stevie was there, and we're going to get you that shirt of that team.
Okay.
For the sparring.
All right. I don't know if I want to do that. Stevie, if he connects, that could be a problem. So maybe I'll put the shirt on his bag, right? So I usually beat him there. So I'll put the shirt on his bag, and then I'll let y'all know how
This is gonna be fun.
how it turned out.
This is going to be fun.
Is it? This is Stevie Lee, the former Longhorn defensive lineman, also joins us Monday nights for a segment. Marcus,
Yes, sir.
I got to say this. If Stevie connects, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I know. That's why I have no interest. I don't know what Jerry's talking about spar. I'm not about to spar with Stevie. Like, I don't.
Don't
Steve,
you have the quickness? Don't you have the quickness?
Sure, maybe. Who knows? But it only takes one, right? And like, I've learned really quickly that these rounds are much longer than they seem, right? And we're just doing some training. So I don't want no part of Stevie. I'm cool. Yeah, I'm glad Stevie's on my side. I'll put it like that.
Hey, Marcus, we're going into week 3 now, back 10 days in for spring camp. Yeah. Scrimmage 1 down. Sark talked to the media afterwards on Saturday and said, hey, it's time to start figuring this thing out. This was scrimmage 1. Now we're starting to figure out who's who, what's what. Wasn't and hasn't it been during your time, like that second scrimmage? The first scrimmage, you kind of figure out, okay, these are the 75 or so guys that we're going to travel with or play with. The second scrimmage is where, okay, these are the 55 guys that are going to play. Is that kind of the vetting process at some level that you think coaches are going through, and even players on the team are going through to kind of settle the pecking order?
I think you're right, Bobby. As much as it's important to get ready for that first game, obviously we know Ohio State looms, in the second one. Before you know it, you're hopping on a flight to Knoxville. And so you need to know pretty quickly, like, who your core, group of guys are. And so this is where we talked about all offseason, where, it's really paramount that during the spring and especially summer months, you're making as much of a move as you can. You're, seizing every opportunity, because as you move closer and closer to the season, as you get closer to game planning, those reps become fewer and further between. So I think, this first scrimmage kind of sets the stage. We know a number of guys either were unavailable by necessity or design, right? Where, you don't need a ton of reps out of Colin Simmons. You don't need to see a whole lot out of, Smothers and Raleigh Brown, because you have some level of understanding of, what their capabilities are. So those are the guys you want to get just a few reps, just so that they can kind of be comfortable, get some reps of what you're simulating from a live game standpoint in the stadium. And then after that, you want to get them in bubble wrap. And then from there, you're trying to, kind of parse out, okay, any of these competitions that are a little bit close, who's starting to step up. And, as you get into this second scrimmage and then coming out of it, you'll probably have a much clearer picture.
What do you make of the idea? And Sark talked a little bit about the run game on Saturday too. Said it started to have, he was reasonably pleased, I think was the term he used, with the run game. The remade offensive line, moving Brandon Baker inside, I think it's having the desired effect that Sark wanted and Kyle Flood wanted from this group. Yet they're still uncertain at left guard. You feel like the offensive line, just from what you're hearing, is like rounding into shape a little bit. And, I think it's going to come down. I think they're going to be improved this year. The question is, how improved? What's your takeaways from what Sark's saying about the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to them, it's kind of like, all right, we have a decent idea of where we're heading with this thing. And I would certainly say that they're much further along and feel much better, about where they are this time in comparison to the same time last year. That being said, they still need to gel a little bit. We've talked a little about, the fact that Seymour wasn't around for the spring. And so, that is something that you have to factor in. And just making sure that you're kind of getting all your calls down. You're getting lock and step with, your fellow, linemen up and down the line. And that's the key, right? We talk a lot about it secondary wise, but it's equally, if not more important, on the offensive line to make sure that everybody's identifying the right players, on the opposing defense. If there's shifts, how are you adjusting? And regardless if it's ones or twos, they're getting really good work against a really good defensive line and a number of guys that, even if they aren't, quote unquote starter on that defensive line, would be starters elsewhere. So they're certainly being tested early. And I think, to your point, Bobby, I would suspect that their passing, protection is going to be much improved. It'll be, what is that jump that you make in the run game? And, are you able to, again, make sure that you're just not shooting yourself in the foot and giving yourself a chance?
I'd say this.
By the way,
Sark also mentioned this on Saturday. pre-snap penalties on the offensive line. I think there was one all scrimmage long. That's for folks like Jerry who've been talking about penalties and improvement of such. That'll be music to his ears.
Hey, I was going to say this, California Horn, best part of scrimmage was no major injuries. I mean, we've seen Oklahoma's center go down. They don't know how long yet, but it's not looking like a week injury.
Well, Tennessee's lost 3 starters, right, Jerry?
Tennessee's lost 3 defensive starters.
Yeah.
An article just came out at ESPN this morning. South Carolina lost 2 receivers for the season over the weekend. 2. One of them's Lenora Sellers' brother, who was a starter. And the other one was Gibson that transferred from OU that was going to be probably their 4th. So every day you don't have season enders is a really good day while you're developing your team, because we're seeing USC lost their starting center. We're seeing some major injuries around college football right now. And Texas is avoiding that, knock on wood. So that was number 1. But, hey, Marcus, I want to ask you this. With Biles out, with Spence out, who were starters at linebacker, Kosi Okpala, Rocky Cummings, Tyler Atkinson got extended time. They were already running. Kosi was already running with the 2s every day, but extended time with the 1s and 2s. How valuable is that for those guys? I mean, it's kind of thrown to the fire a little bit because they probably weren't preparing for that all week, but how valuable is that for those guys? Because they go against the first team OL, they go against Relique, they go for extended period of time Saturday.
Yeah, you're always, you're always one play away, and you're always potentially the next man up, right? Whether you're second string and being thrust into the starting position, or a third stringer that all of a sudden, has to be even more aware, as you're, now a backup. And so I think those type of reps are invaluable for those guys, because again, once Biles is back, once, you have your full assortment that's, in there starting, right? I mean, for the most part, I would say it's Biles, Cryer, and Spence that have a stronghold on those top 3 spots at this position or point in the season, or rather, as you move closer and closer to game time, those reps aren't going to come as regularly, and some of those guys are going to be having to give looks on the scout team. And so, those guys getting some extended run, having some different things thrown their way, and not, looking, like they were, out of place, or that, the moments were too big for them is great. And it's an opportunity for them, to kind of have an understanding of like, okay, I'm capable of some of these things. Now here's some stuff that we can go back and look at film, still make sure that, we're working on. But them getting those reps in the way that they did, and the number of reps, is something that, I think they'll be able to certainly build upon. And not often will be that the case, as you move further into the season.
Marcus, Blake, I wanted to bring up the portal addition to Texas, because another thing we heard about Saturday was some of these late additions, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to whatever. A guy like Darius Snow can become a valuable addition. He's not thought about in that regard, but guys, Darius Snow takes on a little bit of a bigger role on Saturday for this team in the scrimmage due to people being out. And Darius Snow he's a guy that when he's been healthy, has been a pretty good football player at Michigan State. So I wanted to take a look at this portal class, because I also think there's a couple of these guys we may not see as much this year that we heard were really good Saturday. I mean, Darius Snow, I think, could end up being one of those key additions.
Well, and that's one of the things I've really liked, Jerry, that Sark's done in the portal is, he's also made a shift to where a lot of these guys have more than 1 year when they come in, right? It's not solely just a contract year only. I mean, even if it's like a guy like a Jonte Newman, a Zion Williams, maybe there's a situation where you absolutely have to use them if somehow, something were to go left. But they're guys that can build in the program and get some reps, in instances where they're not an absolute necessity right away. And to your point, even on a Darius Snow, it's somebody that's also some veteran leadership in that room that can even kind of talk some of the younger guys through it. And then someone that you could also potentially trust on special teams, right? Like, as much as you want to throw the younger guys in there, and I think we certainly will see a good bit of that, there is a level of comfort of knowing that there's been some guys that have played some big time, college ball already. and that, some of those moments won't necessarily shake them too much. And so you have any number of guys that you can lean on that came out of, this portal class. I mean, outside of the truest, break glass in case of emergency and MJ Morris, you could certainly see the overwhelming majority of these guys at some point being called upon in some shape, form, or fashion outside of just the starters.
I look at you mentioned Darius Snow, Jerry, and I think that Sark mentioned him on Saturday as well in the press availability. Jonte Newman is another name that is a guy that Marcus put it the right way. They didn't come in during contract years, right? Yeah. Like Jonte Newman, that's a great way to describe him because he only had played 1 year at A&M.
Right.
And I mean, he's got a chance to be a player for Texas nowadays. At linebacker, though, Justin Cryer, a young man from Florida State, did start, was not out for whatever reason, and provided some stability during that scrimmage. They did not play him a lot, I think, in that scrimmage because look, they're relatively thin. There's some things going on right now with linebacker position, literally with Spence and Biles out. There was Justin Cryer and freshman on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have and Smith out, so when you have that level of depth issues because you have two frontline guys and Spence and Biles out, I mean, that pushes those guys up. And, we'll see. Rocky Cummins deflected a pass during scrimmage. We talked about that. They all have their things, but I mean, that is a young linebacker group once you get past that first group. And so I think Justin Cryer was not, I'll just say this. Everybody pointed to Raheem Biles, right? Out of the gate when they got him in the portal. Justin Cryer is proving just as important, in my opinion. And then you have a Brad Spence, who is, like Marcus said, he wasn't in the contract year last year. Yet Texas brought him in from the portal transfer. I think that they've done really smart work in the portal overall, and that's going to lend into this team. And I wrote this morning on Texas football. When you have three guys out at linebacker, they're upperclassmen, that is going to test your depth at a position. And that's why when you bring in a Darius Snow that Sark talked about, he might be, as Jerry mentioned, a sneaky good find in the portal that Texas wasn't necessarily talking about.
Yeah.
No fans were talking about him really, but he may actually have a role that he's trying to carve out competing against the three freshmen as a backup.
I mean, look, Darius Snow, before the injury set in, once had 16 tackles against Ohio State. Now they got their ass kicked, but he had 16 tackles. You don't fall into 16 tackles.
No, sir.
Playing linebacker doesn't work that way. So he has proven, his dad was a great hooper, by the way. He has proven that he is a really talented linebacker, but injuries have really slowed his career down. But what if you could get that last healthy season out of him? How much can that help you? Because here's what Saturday does tell you. Health is not guaranteed over the course of a season. One of your starting linebackers is going to get nicked and miss some time. Probably two of them are going to miss snaps during a season, a 13-game, 12-game, 13-game season like Texas has on this schedule. So those late additions can really end up impact winning at some point during the season. And Darius Snow, there's probably a decent chance he's going to have a Matthew Caldwell called upon moment where, hey, man, we need you late in this game. Somebody got dinged and we don't want to bring the freshman in. We need you to go help us finish off this game or win a game. It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Marcus. Well, appreciate you as always for joining us each and every Monday morning. And, of course, we'll see you next Monday as well.
All right, fellas. Talk to y'all later.
Welcome, brother. Marcus be on the night live stream here later the week as well. Always enjoy him. I just want to ask you this, Jerry. You trying to get other people in trouble is a thing now. I mean, you don't tell Marcus to go spar with Stevie Lee, a heavyweight. I mean,
I had good news for
why don't we talk about Jerry getting in the ring with Stevie Lee? I mean, let's put that shoe on the other.
I'd have to go to Lubbock to get in the ring with somebody, I think. But I had good news for Marcus. I didn't tell him at the end, though. There's no shirt because to the bring of a team that gave Evangel problems, they won state his sophomore and junior year, and they lost in his senior year. But when you win 2 state championships, I had a good idea that it wasn't. Shreveport Evangel went undefeated. They won state. So he just kind of laughed. Say, I got rings, man.
Oh, man. We got more to talk about this morning. But first, Bobby, can you tell everyone about Tecovas?
I can. You guys know I like Tecovas. I'm a big believer that a good pair of boots can pretty much go anywhere, and that's what I like about Tecovas. They make boots that look great, also comfortable enough that you actually want to wear them. Every single pair of Tecovas is handcrafted in Leon, Mexico, and their boots are made with over 200 steps by hand. The biggest thing for me is they feel broken in right out of the box. You're not buying a pair of boots and then spending the next month trying to make them comfortable. Of course, this time of year is perfect for them. Football season's here. Tailgates are starting back up, and Tecovas has styles and colors that work great for game day. You can wear them to the office, out to dinner, to the tailgate, into the stadium. They're easy to dress up or dress down. They've also got a full lineup of men's and women's apparel, bags, and leather goods. And with more than 45 stores coast to coast, you can stop in, get fitted by somebody who actually knows boots, grab a complimentary drink, and find the pair that works for you. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at TECOVAS.com/Texas football. Tecovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. Tecovas, point your toes west.
And I'm going to tell everyone about Prize Picks because we're always looking for ways to make watching games a little more fun. And that's exactly why we love Prize Picks. It's America's #1 sports picks app. And honestly, it's as simple as it gets. For player picks, you just choose more or less on a few player stats. You lock in your lineup, you're ready to go. But if you're someone who likes picking teams instead of individual players, Prize Picks has you covered there as well. You can now pick the winner, you can pick the spread, or pick the total on games and even fights. And it's available in most states, including Texas, California, and Florida. So chances are you can jump in today. But of course, one of my favorite features is that you can follow users on the app. If you like the picks they're making, you tell them with one click. It makes it very easy to follow your friends' picks as well. And the best part is if you've never tried Prize Picks before, play your first $5 lineup. If you win, you're going to get $150 in bonus lineups. Just make sure to use code HMA when you sign up. They actually just updated this offer. There's never been a better time to get started. And if you want to start with what I picked for today, I got Christopher Sanchez, the Phillies pitcher, to have more than 4.5 strikeouts. And then I can jump over to the WNBA. I got Paige Beckers to have more than 19 points tonight. So come follow me on those picks or make your own. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code HMA when you sign up. Play that first $5 lineup. And remember, if you win, you're going to get $150 in bonus lineups. That's Prize Picks. Code HMA. Good luck to you. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks.
Hey,
Jerry, real quick.
Jerry,
real quick. Paige Beckers, did you see the interview with Gino Auriemma, the UConn head coach?
No.
Paige Beckers played for UConn, was National Player of the Year. He was talking. Apparently, Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark came out the same year in the high school recruiting ranks, and he talked about Paige Beckers, him saying, "Oh, I went with Paige Beckers over Caitlin Clark." And then they said, "Well, how come?" She said maybe she might have been interested in UConn, and you didn't really go there. He said 2 things. One, I didn't think I would ever get both of them, and I felt like I would get Paige over Caitlin Clark. And 2, she could have always picked up the phone.
Yeah.
She was like, Beckers could have picked up the phone.
You could have picked up the phone. And Beckers was the #1 prospect in the country. And she had an ACL at UConn too. She was the next one in women's, girls hoops coming out. But that absolutely, what he said was so true. You can't get both. By the way, just Huey, good to see you, Huey. Billy and I and Bobby, we're all good. But this post, he said, I think Billy wants to tussle with Jerry. But I will say this. This gave me a great Halloween costume idea. I'm thinking ahead. Okay, chat. Bobby's going to be the SMU male cheerleader. Blake's going to be the core guy with a sword, and I'll be the state trooper that pushed the South Carolina wide receiver for Halloween. If somebody hadn't seen the video from the 80s, that would be pretty funny to do for Halloween, actually.
Hey, the Halloween show's right around the corner. That's
I
already
I can't wait. That, you know what the Halloween show reminds me of from last year is I was the Vandy pimp.
Yeah.
And that means SEC Shorts is not far from being around the corner too, probably.
yeah.
That'll be fun.
Probably.
Yeah.
By the way, for those in the chat that don't know what I'm talking about, just search SMU cheerleader rushes A&M field. The video's hilarious. It's an all-timer. Literally got a sword drawn on him.
Oh, goodness. All right. We got super chats. We got a lot other things to talk about. So let's, we asked what people thought as far as the AP poll goes. It seems like the most common answer was number 4. Mm-hmm. But somewhat related to that, The Athletic came out with their SEC predictions this morning, actually. And they got Texas winning the SEC over Oklahoma, fellas. 4 SEC playoff teams, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and LSU. But you'll see there, they have Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia all finishing 10-2. Texas, of course, going 8-1 in the SEC. The other 2 schools going 7-2. But one thing they noted is that Texas will lose against Ohio State. Everybody will freak out. That's what was their exact words. And then Texas comes back. They just roar through the season, win the SEC, only drop 1 game. It didn't say to who. But I found that interesting. So they're predicting 10-2 for Texas overall, winning the SEC and going 8-1.
Well, what's interesting about this, where they might, I don't know if they thought through this all the way. If they have Oklahoma ahead of Georgia, does that mean they picked Oklahoma beat Georgia and Athens? Because if they have the same record, then Georgia would be on top. If Georgia won the game, the winner of that game is going to be. So are they picking Oklahoma to win in Athens? I don't know. That's interesting. But yeah, no, I know the chat loves A&M at 5-4 right there and 8-4. More shirts will be made if that's the case this year. But they have Florida as kind of that team that comes up and knocks off some people. That's their sleeper team in the SEC, obviously.
At 9-3, it certainly is.
Yeah.
And they're clear believers in Lane Kiffin, too, at 9-3.
Yeah.
And a playoff team, they said. That would be interesting if a 9-3 SEC team gets in this year. I think about that because they're predicting a playoff team out of that group. I look, how funny would it be 3 years into the SEC experiment for Texas and Oklahoma that those 2 are playing in the SEC championship?
Oh,
why don't you think of the old guard in Georgia and Atlanta and Orlando and Birmingham? What do you think they would? New Orleans, Nashville? You think they want to see Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC championship?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think there's. I think Greg Sankey does a reasonable job. The SEC commissioner does a reasonable job of trying to include everybody in the SEC into this thing. But I absolutely believe there are media in the Deep South, and I mean the Deep South, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, that area, that still kind of look at Texas and OU as outsiders, and that's okay. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I think that would get them twisted a little.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I will say this. I don't think this is outlandish. I don't think Texas and OU, I've been on record, I think OU is going to be a better team this year than they were a year ago, and they went to the playoffs last year. Texas went 10-3 last year. I think they're a better team this year. Do you think Georgia is necessarily a better team this year than they were a year ago? I don't think so. So
the only way I'm getting there with Georgia, I think they may have best offensive line in the SEC.
Fair.
That is the one thing that I give them when I really doing a triple take on some of these teams recently. I was like, all right, yeah, Georgia lost Monroe Freeling, but they have some really good players and some guys that are freshman starters now going to be sophomores on that OL. That's the one area I'd give them as a chance. I'll tell you the other question, Bobby, and for the chat and for Blake. If this ended up being correct, because there's going to be a coaching change or two in this league. If Tennessee and South Carolina both went 7-5 and 4-5 in the SEC, do those coaches survive? Does Heupel survive 7-5 and 4-5?
No, in my opinion. No.
That's where I come out. Beamer 7-5, 4-5. I mean, that's a little tougher at South Carolina.
Is it though?
I mean, I guess it always depends.
He's had his run. He's had his run.
Yeah.
I don't see Vanderbilt being 6-6. So I think they're going to return to mean a little this year. Even though I like Clark Lee as a coach, you take out the straw that stirs the drink there on offense, they're not that good. Sorry. I think they'll return to it. I think Mississippi State will be fundamentally better than 1-8 in this conference.
I do too. If quarterback stays healthy.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be a bowl team this year. Not sure how, but I think they're gonna be a bowl team this year.
No. I'm going to continue to say, since it's the first year of 9-game SEC schedule, and you only get one off week, I'm going to continue to say I think health of teams is going to be truly impactful in how this whole race plays out. I think all these teams are so good. And Blake, do you have what ESPN put out this morning?
Yeah, I was about to say this actually ties into it. And Jerry, you told people to gird their loins.
Gird your loins, SEC football style, not recruiting. Yeah. I mean, you look at this, Blake. 50% of SEC conference games finished within one score last year.
That is a crazy stat.
7 of the 16 teams finished within one game of the top of the league. Is there any real reason to believe it's going to be different than that this year? And so if it does run that same type of race, injuries are going to be truly impactful because you have one more conference game and one less week off. That's kind of my big takeaway from this race this year, is show me the healthiest team at the end that's really good. And I bet they're at the top or in the top 2. I mean, look at Oklahoma already. I mean, if you're Oklahoma fans right now, you're like, man, Fasusi's been out with some shoulder deal. We lost our center. We don't know how long it's going to be. Could be for the year, could not be for the year, but it's going to be for an extended period of time. I mean, you start to look around saying, are we snake bit? Are we going to be snake bit with injuries? That's where fan bases go at this point. Tennessee fan bases certainly probably thinks they are. You've lost 3 defensive starters a week and a half into practice. I really think health is going to be huge, bigger than even usual because of where the SEC's at this year.
Texas had seven SEC. That stat really struck me. The 50% were 1-score games.
Yep.
Texas had, just for Texas, they had 8 conference games last year. 4 of them were 1-score games.
There you go.
So they hit that number on the money.
Yep.
50%. I was unaware. That may be
fun.
That may be like, how many 1-score games did Indiana and Ohio State have in conference last year?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, everybody, the Iowas and the Illinois of the world, their coaches are trying to say that they're middle of the rung, and the Big Ten is the equal to the middle of the rung in the SEC. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I wonder how many how tight their games were in the Big Ten compared to the SEC.
Indiana had 2, and it was at Iowa and at Penn State. And the Penn State was after Franklin got fired. They had 2. So that was their schedule last year in the Big Ten.
If you count the Big Ten championship and the playoffs, then Indiana would have had 4. Ohio State, of course, being the Big Ten championship, and then their game against Miami in the national championship. Ohio State had 2 one-score games all season, the Big Ten championship and playing Texas.
And Ohio State in conference play had 0 until the Big Ten championship game. 0 one-score games. None. Okay. Washington 24-6, Minnesota 42-3, Illinois 34-16, Wisconsin 34-0, Penn State 38-14, Purdue 34-10, UCLA 48-10, Rutgers 42-9, Michigan in shambles 27-9.
Yeah, it's not so much. I'm talking about just the average score of a game in the.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
I mean, is it 50%? 50% games in one score is pretty. That's almost NFL like. I mean, that's why that's the comparison made, in my opinion. Like they say any given Sunday, right? It could be any given Saturday in the SEC.
Yeah. And by the way, on this schedule this year, no matter how talented we think Texas is, there's going to be 2 or 3 one-score games in conference play. It's coming. Who are they going to be and how it's going to end, we don't know yet, but it's going to happen. Somebody asked about Georgia. Alabama, they lost that one. Tennessee, 44-41 in OT, so they had 1. Alabama, they lost that one. They had 2. Florida was 24-20, could easily lost that game. That was 3. So they had 3 in conference play. Georgia Tech doesn't count. Obviously, that's not a conference game. That was 16-9. That was a one-score game. So they had 4 in the regular season, 3 in SEC play. And that's one of the reasons I do like Georgia this year. I think their schedule's more favorable than Texas and Oklahoma. It's another reason I do like Georgia.
Going back to y'all's point a second ago about Indiana and Ohio State, their margin of victory in conference play, Indiana 29.8 points per game, Ohio State 27.3 points per game.
Yeah. I'm more about, like, does Northwestern even put up a fight? Like there are too many teams in that conference that don't even put up a fight. Michigan State didn't put up a fight last year. Maybe they could say the same about Arkansas, though. I mean, I don't know. I think we're on to something by comparing a couple of things. One of them is that the one-score game. I mean, that all it takes is a ball to bounce the other way, and all of a sudden you're in it. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a big piece of it. The other is this. I think that pretty much all of the SEC is spending heavily on NIL. I mean, not at the same levels. Like Kentucky's not spending as much in football as Texas or Florida or whatever, right? Or LSU, et cetera, A&M, OU. I understand that. But I think there are dramatic differences in that category in the Big Ten. And in the Big 12, there's Texas Tech and everybody else. Nobody else is even in their category.
Right.
From a spending.
By the way, just doing some more research on this while we're talking. Alabama and Oklahoma, 5 one-score games each in SEC play. 5 out of 8 last year. Man, tough sledding. Gird up your loins. And somebody says Arkansas lost like 5 one-score games or something. That's how a coach gets fired.
All right, we're going to get to some super chats next. But first, Jerry, I need you to tell us about Shields.
Get ready, Austin and Longhorn fans. The all-new Shields is opening August 29th in Cedar Park, and it's nothing like you've ever seen. Over 1,000 square feet packed with the best in sporting goods, hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, and all things sports, and a Ferris wheel. Try top brands, test out the latest gear. Get expert help from the people who love sports as much as you do. Mark your calendar. That's August 29th. Cedar Park Shields grand opening. Your next adventure starts here. Bobby, I believe OTF may be represented there.
We are going to be out there hanging out with those guys. I would just say this, guys. It's not just 1,000. It's thousands and thousands of square feet at Shields. I mean, it is.
Oh, it was 10,000. I read it wrong. It was 10,000.
It's more than 10,000.
Mm.
It's like I don't know how big it is. It's thousands and thousands. The issue, I would just tell you guys, I've never seen anything like this for a sports store. I mean, it is enormous.
Huge.
All right. We also want to welcome our newest sponsor, Poncho. Poncho makes the ultimate performance shirts for the outdoors. It's become my go-to for all seasons. Definitely the best looking and most comfortable shirt I've ever worn. And now they have their game day collection. Check out Colt McCoy and his. Poncho has Texas fans covered for college football season. And we have a special here for you. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/ontexas and enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/ontexas. Head there, drop in your email, and you get 10% off and free shipping. And once you try one, you'll get why I've got a closet full. You're going to love how these shirts feel in the Texas heat. And I like the extra pockets that let you store stuff safely. Get $10 off your first order at ponchooutdoors.com/ontexas. When you enter your email, that's thanks to the fine folks at Poncho for sponsoring On Texas Football. And check out their game day collection. Going to look good going to tailgates in that one.
That's right. Some super chats this morning. First from Brandon Morgan. Thank you, Brandon. Brandon had a big night last night. He says
Air Morgan
was one for the ages.
It was Air Morgan. That's my name for him, is Air Morgan, because it was Shark Week when I was on one of the night shows, and he was super chatting it up. So we call him Air Morgan, like Air Jaws. It was a great one. It actually made Rod bring out his new puppy. The family got a new puppy. Yes, it was such a big night that Rod introduced us to a new member of the family. So, but yes, Brandon Morgan, Aloha Traveler. Thank you very much. It was a fun night. And everybody else.
I got some texts about it. I did not check it out yet, though.
Yeah, go back.
We learned that Rod and Jerome Sapp said at Texas City was their favorite high school game. Like stadium atmosphere they played in, outside of a playoff game against Acadia and North Shore, right? But any road game, they because Justin Yarbrough had a super chat, and he's a Texas City grad. So we got that out of Rod last night, too. It was a good night. Got the puppy to make an appearance. Got Rod's take on Texas City home football games. It was good.
Yeah. Texas City. I talked to Rusty Dowling, the former Texas City coach, about 2 weeks ago, Jerry. We talked for about 30 minutes.
Imagine what he did. What he did at Texas City back in the day. We talk about when new coaches take jobs. He went to Texas City when Lamarck was thumping people and Galveston ball was really, really good. And he ended up winning a state championship at Texas City. And hardest I ever got hit in a basketball game was Vernon Crawford when I was at Friendswood. That's the hardest I ever got hit in a basketball game was Vernon Crawford, the star football player from Texas City. Mid-90s that went to FSU and played for the Patriots. That was a hellacious screen. And probably illegal.
Jason Ablinski, thank you for your super chat. After all the scrimmage reports in our total history with Sark, nobody ever questions him on his lack of ever having a top offense at Texas. It's time to question his offensive prowess.
I say we do that 3 weeks before the start of the season. Not that we didn't have all off season to question that, Jason. I mean, let's see what happens this year. He's got a lot of tools this year. You know, I don't think Sarks thinks he's immune to, debate or questioning his acumen or ability. You think Steve Sarkisian thinks he was perfect last year? Or the year before? No. I will say this: he's definitely always had competent offenses. They haven't always been outstanding. So there's a difference, right? I mean, we've all seen incompetent offenses and what they look like. But you look, let's see what he does. He's got he's got more pieces to the puzzle this year than he's ever had, in my opinion. And that's at every position ultimately. I really believe that. So, Jason, we should have been talking about this like back in February and March, not as we're getting ready for this season, is my only thing. Because has he had a great offense at Texas? 23 was pretty damn good.
Yeah. And they were Rocky Poor put it in the chat, they were number 9.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
All right. Terrence wants to know, how long have you two been covering the Longhorns?
Long enough. Since 90. I haven't been covering the Longhorns specifically, but I've been covering college football and college football recruiting since 1993. Give you an example. I will say this: Kirk Bowles, now with the Houston Chronicle, I asked him the other day at a media deal. He's been covering the Longhorns since 1973. 53 years. That's a long freaking time.
Yeah. I'm the same as Bobby. You know, when you do it nationally, you kind of weave in and out of team versus national stuff. But I think this is about 26 for me in the industry.
A while, what y'all are both trying to say. A good while. All right, Freelance Society has one for you, Jerry. Who's your favorite to win 6A in state this year? Also, any high school teams you recommend watching this season?
Yeah, look, I don't even know if I have my favorite to win 6A. I think it's going to be your usual guys, though. I mean, it's going to be your usual guys, which are some young guys to step up. I bet North Shore's really good. I just think they have great command of a talented program, so that gives them a chance year in, year out. Their staff does a good job from a culture standpoint there in keeping kids motivated. They really do a good job there. What's hardest thing to do is when you win as much as they do. Look, North Crowley is a new coach, but they're as talented as anybody. I mean, they probably have 25 D1 players over there right now in all their classes. New head coach, obviously Ray Gates moved to the college level, but they're going to be as talented. If you get out and watch a North Crowley game, look, North Crowley and Duncanville are in the same district this year. That game will have, I don't know, 40, 45 future D1 players either on the field or on the sidelines in that game. There will be D1 future D1 signees that are sophomores that don't start but play on those teams. So if I told you one game, if you just want to see the most talent you'll see on a high school football field this season, North Crowley Duncanville game's probably it. That they're in the same district. That's also crazy. That's probably the one I'd lean to, but that's not the best Friday night necessary experience. I mean, your great Friday night experiences are, a Lufkin Longview game in East Texas has always been one that I've felt different. Things have changed in the triangle a little bit, but you can see some great games like that down there. Does West Orange, Stark, and Jasper play this year? I mean, there are some great small school games across the state, especially in East Texas. But if you're just looking for hunting the most talent, North Crowley Duncanville is going to sign me up for that one.
All right, and I think we got one other. Yep, from Jay Lee. He says Pate claims Notre Dame would win the SEC this year. Do you agree?
It could. I mean, I think that. Look, I think Notre Dame's really, really good this year.
Same.
So, do I claim that they would absolutely win the SEC? No, I think such claims are ridiculous. I mean, no offense to Josh Pate, who, you just can't. I can't tell you outright. I think Texas is definitely going to win all 12 games this year. No, it's could Notre Dame theoretically win the SEC? Yes, they are that talented. I have no
And
problem.
and they have an SEC built type team in the line of scrimmages.
But would I pick them to win the SEC if they were in it? I would not.
Yeah.
In part because they're not used to playing that type of schedule, and it changes how you coach. I'm just telling you, when you have what fans and I think some of the media fail to recognize is that when you have games that are decided by one score or less, it fundamentally changes how coaches approach football games and how they coach their teams. It just does. And I think that Marcus Freeman has never been in that kind of game after game environment. He's been busy playing Army, Boston College, and Northwestern. And I don't know, Pitt. Not that some of those aren't good teams at different times. He's not accustomed to playing, going from at Tennessee to OU to Florida to Georgia to Texas. He's just not. And so it's much more, it's much more of a pro approach in the SEC in that regard. So while I do think that they have the talent to win it, and if they have to win 4 straight games to win a national championship, I definitely think they have the talent to do it. It's a different game, though. It's a different game. And I like, people are saying Marcus Freeman fan. I like Marcus Freeman, no problems. But conference play is different in different leagues, and he doesn't have a conference. So he gets multiple weeks off, essentially, in my opinion.
I think it's the playoff data. I think what's going to be so interesting, Rod and I hit on this a little bit last night. I've hit on this before, but it was a prevailing thought for me leaving Manning Passing Academy is you got 4 quarterbacks this year in college football that are all going to be talked about high in the mock drafts, right? CJ Carr has now entered that realm with Dante Moore, Julian Sand, and Arch, right? All 4 of those teams are going to be highly ranked. And Arch, second-year starter, Sand, second-year starter, Carr, second-year starter, Dante Moore, second-year starter at Oregon, 2.5-year starter this year. It will be 2.5. He started a few games at UCLA. I really think once you get to this talent level these teams are at, and the quarterback's not the reason these teams win. And that's been proven over time. Nick Saban won with bus drivers. He ran with a great quarterback. Ohio State won with a bus driver a couple of years ago. They won their title with a bus driver under Ryan Day. Not the best quarterback talent they've had. But I think when you look at these teams this year, all 4 of these teams are going to be ranked really high. Which of these quarterbacks that's going into their second year starting at the school they're at makes the biggest jump? Which of those is there 2 guys that play above the level of the other 2 this year? Something to watch for. I think that could be a deciding factor for these teams because once you reach a certain talent level, and all 4 of those teams are talented enough to win a title, who's going to make the biggest jumps this season? I think that's going to be interesting to look back on.
Gunnar Stockton, Trinidad Chambliss, another one, second-year starter.
Yep.
CJ Carr, you mentioned.
Yep. We're in second-year starting.
John Mateer's second year at his school.
Yep.
Arch, second year.
Yep. That'll be interesting to see who makes the big jumps this year.
All right. Lance here with the super chat says, my kid turned 10 today. He's a huge fan. He was thrilled to get a signed Wingo card, and Derek Cooper signed mini helmet would make his day. To wish him a happy birthday. His name is Rylan. Thanks.
Happy birthday, Rylan. Yeah. Happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday, man.
Birthday.
Yeah. Very cool. Hope you have a great one. Great 10th birthday.
We got an event coming up, actually, don't we, Blake? You want to mention that in this time frame?
Yeah, actually, I was going to kick it over to you and kind of let you tell folks about it because speaking of memorabilia from Texas players, this is going to have it, Bobby.
Yeah, get ready. eBay Live is coming to Texas. Kick off the college football season with us here at On Texas Football Sunday, August 30th, over at the Victory Lap here right next to campus on West 24th Street from 5 to 9 p.m. Come see appearances from Colin Simmons, Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, and more as they go on eBay Live to sign and auction exclusive memorabilia in real time, all hosted by Emmanuel Acho. Plus, enjoy fan experiences, giveaways, and plenty more throughout the night. We'll be over there as well. Victory Lap, August 30th, 5 to 9 p.m. Come kick off the season with eBay Live in Austin.
Yeah, be a good event. Okay, we got another super chat or two. Texas Blake here. Have y'all ever looked back at previous fall camp intel and compared to what you eventually saw in games, both good and bad?
Yes, I have.
Always.
I've tried to do that multiple times throughout my year. I used to do look backs on recruiting when I was covering recruiting rankings too. I always try to go back and see what I missed a little bit. I did this about 3 months ago now, on last season. And while I want to say this, the thing that I missed last year, I was questioning the offensive line headed into last year. Absolutely was questioning it. Was I questioning it hard enough? And the answer is no, based on the results. Okay. Because I was questioning the inexperience. It's like, so to Texas Blake, do I ever go back and look at it? Absolutely. And usually I will say this from my experience covering the team, I am directionally right about things, but I may not be exactly right. So, and then there are levels to all of it, right? So I was concerned about the offensive line, but I didn't know they were going to have the struggles they had early. So I should have said, oh, they're going to struggle. I think they're really going to struggle. Instead, I was like, I'm not real sure. That kind of stuff. I think that's a great question, frankly, because look, Jerry and I've been doing this for 30 years plus each. Okay. We ain't perfect, nor do we claim to be.
And by the way, the coaches look back and they're wrong on things they thought every single year. Yeah.
That's exactly right. You don't know sometimes who's going to step
Yep.
up. My point is, usually I feel like I'm directionally right. As long as I feel directionally right, I'm okay with how we report things and how I think about things. I don't know. Like, I can't remember a time where I was just fundamentally so wrong about a team, though. Or last year I wasn't fundamentally wrong. Like, I can't remember that, and that would really bother me. Of course, I mentioned going back and looking at recruits, there are some recruits that bother me that I missed, but it's a different story.
Yeah, I would say this. Even when you look back on last year's team, Texas still had enough talent to make the college football playoff. They just didn't play well enough. I think there's been way too much in this offseason. Well, Texas wasn't as talented enough. BS. Texas was talented enough to make a college football playoff. They were 9-3. They didn't show up for the Florida game. Didn't get off the plane. Got beat up physically, got on the plane, and went home. I mean, that does happen. But the one thing I will stand by, any talk, though, Texas wasn't talented enough. That's BS. Texas was talented enough to make the playoff last year. They didn't play well enough.
All right, we got one or two questions to get to before we get out of here. But first, Bobby, one more time, let us know about the Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
I could do it. John Donovan is one of our friends of the program here on Texas Football. We appreciate his patronage very much. He helps make shows like today possible. John's proud Texas X's Life member who served on the Dallas board for 15 years and has now spent 5 years leading and helping support the growth of the newer Collin County X's. John consistently serves his fellow Longhorns as a certified financial planner and as the founder of Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's proud that the Texas X's organization has honored Longhorn Wealth Management as a member of the 2026 Longhorn 100. The exclusive award was presented to the 100 fastest growing companies in America from 2023 to 2025 that were either founded by, owned, or led by UT alums. To celebrate this great accomplishment, John wants to offer all of the OTF family a free private financial consultation via Zoom, phone, or in person to allow John to show you how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. Please take time now to schedule your own free private consultation with John by either calling the Longhorn Wealth Team 972-707-4900 or scheduling online at longhornwealth.net. That's www.longhornwealth.net. John and the Longhorn Wealth Team sent a huge Longhorn 100 winner. Hook them to all the OTF family.
All right, Dan, one more here. Comes from Slick Rick. He says, congrats on the LHN collab. Any update on an OTF app, though? And will we get video on Spotify? Love you guys.
Appreciate it, Rick. As of right now, we have no plans on video on Spotify. We're sticking to YouTube at this point because Spotify doesn't. There's a couple of issues there. As far as the update on an app with OTF, we don't really do that either. And so, unfortunately, the answer is no on both of those. But thanks for the collab with LHN. We're going to have some fun with that.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Coffee and Football presented by Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I want to thank them along with Poncho, Shields, Tacovas, and Prize Picks. Also, don't forget that eBay event that Bobby talked about. We'll have more on it as the time comes.
Hey, Blake, gotta say two things. Jerry and I are going to be up in Dallas, Fort Worth this week. Thursday night, Jerry's speaking at the Fort Worth, Texas Exes. And then Saturday, I'm expected to speak at the Dallas, Texas Exes. So if you are in the Fort Worth or Dallas area this week, please come out and say hello. Sorry about that, Blake.
No, you're good. And don't forget to head on over to ontexasfootball.com right now. $3 for 3 months, limited time offer. Get practice coverage, breaking news, team coverage, insider access, recruiting intel, and a whole lot more. A great community over there. Had a lot of people sign up lately, so come take advantage of that offer if you haven't already. This is for new subscribers only. $3 for 3 months. And Bobby, what do you have for folks later today?
Later today, we've got Steve Sarkisian stepping in the mic here in about 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm actually hustling over there right now after we close up. So we'll have reactions from that. Texas practiced early this morning. So they got after it. We didn't talk about that enough probably in this episode of Coffee and Football. Our apologies. We'll do more of that tomorrow. But Sark almost immediately. And then later in the day, we'll have some other updates from this week, as well as our live stream tonight. Let's have some fun today. It's a big week of Texas football. Like I mentioned, and like Sark mentioned, that first scrimmage, you whittle it down from 105 to about 85, 75. This next scrimmage, you go down probably from 75 to 65 or 55. That's that's where we're at in this process of Texas football 2026.
Well, we hope you all have a great day today. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome, Horns.